How do you go from shattering NCAA records and making the NBA Finals to one cheeseburger shy of 400 pounds? This is the story of Oliver Miller. Born on April 6, 1970, and raised in Fort Worth, Texas, it's only fitting that Oliver Miller grew large in stature. They say everything is bigger in Texas, and Miller grew as big as it got, standing heads and shoulders above his peers in high school. So by the time he reached college, Miller was already a giant. Standing at 6'9" and 275 pounds, he was a cheat code inside the paint. This gave the Arkansas Razorbacks no choice but to offer him a college scholarship. Only it didn't take long for Miller to prove his worth, and at just 21 years old, Miller put the basketball world on notice. It was a battle between the two best college basketball teams, the first-ranked UNLV Running Rebels against the second-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks. But despite the high stakes, Miller didn't care. He balled out, scoring 22 points, recording 14 rebounds, 6 assists, and 6 blocks. So even though Arkansas lost, one thing became clear: Miller was a star center in the making. However, Miller wasn't just a one-time wonder, he was a defensive menace, because throughout his college years, Miller set a school record with 345 blocked shots, helping the Razorbacks achieve a remarkable 125-24 record. But more importantly, Miller had the knowledge to thrive at the next level. His coach, Nolan Richardson, states, "Oliver is by far one of the smartest players I've ever coached. He's a joke-around kind of guy, but he really understands the game." Although that doesn't mean Miller was perfect. Far from it. Little did fans know, Miller was developing some troubling habits. Weighing in at around 275 pounds in college, he often suffered from fatigue and late-game laziness thanks to his large stature. This became a notable problem for many NBA scouts who opted for more in-shaped prospects. To make matters worse, Miller weighed in at 318 pounds during the draft combine. So, heading into the 1992 NBA draft, Oliver Miller became one of the biggest wildcards. That said, there was one team who had their sights on Miller all along: the Phoenix Suns. Heading into the 1992-93 season, the Suns made a splash, trading away Jeff Hornacek, Andrew Lang, and Tim Perry for superstar Charles Barkley. The downside of this trade, it only left them with one center on their roster, Mark West. Hence, when the top center prospects Shaquille O'Neal and Alonzo Mourning went off the board with the first two picks, Miller was an obvious choice for the Suns at number 22. Fortunately, Miller started his NBA career on the right foot. Upon his arrival in Phoenix, he lost 14 pounds, bringing his weight down to 304 pounds. Better yet, this allowed him to win the backup center job, a role which turned out to be essential, because that season, Miller played 56 regular season games, averaging about 19 minutes per game. And throughout the season, Miller averaged around 5 rebounds and an impressive 1.8 blocks per game, while the Suns won a league-high 62 games. Put simply, things were looking up for the youngster. Yet, in the playoffs, things were about to get a whole lot better. Down 2-0 in their best-of-5 series against the Lakers, Suns coach Paul Westphal knew it was time for a change. So who did he turn to? Oliver Miller. Despite barely playing the first 2 games and missing his only shot attempt, Westphal knew this kid was special, and in Game 3, his faith in the rookie center paid off big time, during which Miller exploded for 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks, helping the Suns secure a 107-102 win. Fast forward to a game later, and Miller was even better, scoring 16 points, grabbing 8 rebounds, and blocking 2 shots to send the series back to Phoenix for a series-deciding Game 5. That said, Game 5 was a totally different story. On May 9th, 1993, Miller was a man on a mission. He played with a season-high 35 minutes off the bench, resulting in 17 points, 14 rebounds, and a whopping 7 blocks. It was so impressive, even Dikembe Mutombo was jealous. The best part of it all? The Suns walked away with a 112-104 overtime victory. Yet it wouldn't end there. Following the series, he played a crucial role in defeating David Robinson's Spurs and Sean Kemp's Sonics to reach the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, that's when the Suns ran into Michael Jordan's Bulls. Despite the loss, the fact remained the same: Oliver Miller possessed star potential. Because following his rookie season, Miller expanded his role considerably, averaging 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 26 minutes, all because he subscribed to the channel! Like his rookie season, he remained loyal to the grind, resulting in his best performance yet, a career-high 32 points against the Philadelphia 76ers. And, as if that wasn't enough, he also recorded a triple-double against the Minnesota Timberwolves. However, his success was short-lived as rumors of his weight gain circulated during the second half of the season, earning him the nickname the Big O. This negatively affected his performance as he only scored double figures in 13 of the final 33 games. Unfortunately, this downward spiral only continued further in the playoffs, during which Miller was virtually absent, contributing only 3 points and 4 rebounds per game as the Suns were eliminated by the Houston Rockets in the second round. However, this poor performance was just one small roadblock for Miller. Or so we thought. After the Phoenix Suns were eliminated from the playoffs, disturbing allegations against Oliver Miller emerged. On the night of the team's return from Houston, Miller and some Suns players were out partying at a nightclub in Scottsdale, during which Miller allegedly sexually assaulted a woman. Big mistake. And although no charges were pressed, Suns owner Jerry Colangelo decided to take action, because despite being in restricted free agency, the Suns opted to not match the offer from the Detroit Pistons, effectively ending Miller's time with the team. It seemed as if his career was getting away from him. Until it wasn't. Following his departure from the Phoenix Suns, Miller rebounded in a big way. He managed to keep his life under control, leading to 2 more solid seasons. This included his best season yet with the Toronto Raptors in 1995. Under the coaching of former Razorback player Darrell Walker, Miller averaged 12.9 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 1.9 blocked shots per game. However, despite all of his success on the court, Miller's struggles with weight management continued to plague him. Sadly, Miller struggled to maintain a healthy weight and eventually topped out at a staggering 375 pounds, coming dangerously close to 400 pounds at times. This became a huge problem in his 5th season as Miller went from playing 33 minutes per game the season prior to averaging less than 5 points per game. Not only that, but fans weren't very forgiving. On the road, fans liked to taunt him about his weight, offering him cheeseburgers and making fun of his size. Come on, how's my man supposed to turn down a Big Mac? That's a borderline crime. Anyways, that still didn't stop Miller from playing the sport he loved. He continued to bounce around from team to team, never staying in one place for long. Yet following a second stint with the Phoenix Suns in 1999, it became painfully clear that his career in the NBA was coming to an end. So after 8 NBA seasons, Miller went in a different direction. He began playing for minor league teams and overseas, and throughout his journey, Oliver even had 2 stints with the Harlem Globetrotters. However, eventually, not even the Globetrotters wanted him. In December 2001, Miller was released for showing no appreciation for what it takes mentally and physically to be a Harlem Globetrotter. Now that's a tough pill to swallow, but the Globetrotters had a point. Whether he played for the Southern California Surf, the Gary Steelheads, or the Dakota Wizards, the result was all the same. Miller lasted less than a year. In fact, in 2003, he played for not 1, not 2, but 4 teams. Yet this still didn't stop an NBA team from giving him another chance. Because in 2003, the Minnesota Timberwolves were in desperate need of a center and eventually took a chance on the Big O. Despite being 4 years removed from the NBA, Oliver Miller gave it his all. He knew as well as everyone else this was his last chance. After all, he was now 33 years old and keeping the weight down was becoming harder by the day. That said, he still impressed his teammates with his skills and love for the game. In particular, Timberwolves star forward Kevin Garnett praised Miller's passing ability, calling him one of the best passing big men he's seen. But despite Garnett's praise, Miller's time with the Timberwolves only lasted 1 season. Ultimately, his weight just slowed him down too much. Yet, that still wasn't stopping Miller. He continued to play in the minor leagues for a few more years before finally hanging up the high tops and calling it a career. Now, normally, this is where the story takes a turn for the worse. An obese basketball player retires, causing his weight problems to only get worse. Yet the ending to Miller's story is not what you'd expect, because in 2016 he had a wake-up call when former NBA player Sean Rooks passed away from heart disease at only 46 years old. This is when Miller decided it was time to make some big changes. Taking matters into his own hands, he started walking while gradually increasing the intensity and duration of his exercise. So, lo and behold, slowly but surely, he started to see results in the mirror. Fast forward to today, and Miller has lost over 100 pounds and recently weighed only 278 pounds, the same weight he weighed in college. Yet, the question still remains, what if he made this change sooner? Could he have been an NBA All-Star? One can only think that if Miller kept the weight down, the sky was the limit. Regardless, Miller's talent and perseverance earned him a place in the Arkansas Sports Hall of Honor, proving that even the heaviest players can leave a lasting impact on the game. It wasn't easy, but through it all, Miller never gave up and stayed committed to his dream. Which reminds me, Mac McClung is leaving an impact on the basketball world as we speak. However, if you ask McClung, he's still got a ways to go. So what's holding him back from becoming an NBA staple? Click the video and find out.